You're tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, but the kind that settles deep into your chest, the kind that comes from carrying something invisible for far too long. You've been holding on to a connection that has asked more of your heart than it has ever returned. And lately there have been moments, quiet, private moments, where you've wondered if it's time to let go. You've replayed conversations that never gave you closure. You've searched for meaning in silence that offered none. You've laid awake asking yourself the same question over and over again. Am I foolish for still believing in this? There's a fear you haven't spoken out loud, a fear that maybe you've been wrong this whole time, that maybe the connection you've been protecting only exists in your own mind. That doubt has been exhausting, and the frustration of not knowing, of being suspended between hope and heartbreak, has worn you down in ways no one else can see. But you're here now, and this message has reached you at this exact moment for a reason. What you are about to hear will finally begin to make sense of everything. Section R. The love that exists beneath the surface. What if the love you've been searching for has been there all along, just hidden beneath layers you were never meant to see through on your own? This person loves you, not in the way you expected, not in the way that's easy to recognize, but in a way that is real, present, and far deeper than their actions have been able to show. The inconsistency you've experienced, the silence, the distance, the moments where they seem to pull away just as you got close, none of it has been absence of love. It has been the presence of something else, something they themselves may not fully understand yet. You've sensed it in small moments, in the way they looked at you when they thought you weren't paying attention, in words that carried more weight than they intended, in the invisible thread that keeps pulling you back to them even when logic tells you to walk away. That feeling wasn't imagined. It wasn't desperation dressed as intuition. It was truth, quiet, persistent truth, trying to reach you beneath all the noise. The universe does not create connections like this at random. Energy does not lie, and your soul did not anchor itself to this person by accident. What you have felt is not fantasy. It is recognition, a knowing that lives beneath thought, beneath proof, beneath everything that has made you question yourself. But if this love is real, and it is, then why has it been so difficult to see? Why has this person kept it buried? Why have they given you silence when your heart has been calling out for certainty? The silence has been the hardest part, not knowing where you stand, reaching out and feeling like your words disappeared into a void, watching them pull back just when things seem to be moving forward. You have spent countless hours trying to decode what their distance meant, wondering if you said something wrong, if you asked for too much, if somewhere along the way you simply stopped being enough. But here is the truth you were never meant to figure out on your own. Their silence was never a reflection of your worth. It was a reflection of their war. This person has been battling something within themselves that has nothing to do with you. Old wounds, deep fears, a sense of unworthiness they have carried far longer than they have known you. And when they felt the weight of this connection, when they recognized how real it was becoming, they did not run from you. They ran from what you awakened in them. This is what the mind does when it senses danger. Not physical danger, but emotional exposure. The psyche protects itself. It retreats. It builds walls. It chooses silence over vulnerability because silence feels safer than being seen. Carl Jung called this the shadow. the unconscious part of ourselves that holds our deepest fears, our unhealed pain, and everything we are not yet ready to face. And for this person, getting closer to you meant getting closer to parts of themselves they have been avoiding for years. And so they pulled away, not because they didn't care, but because they cared too much and didn't know how to hold it. You were never rejected, you were never too much, you were never unworthy of their love. You simply became the mirror that reflected something they were not yet ready to see in themselves. And that recognition, while painful, should bring you a measure of peace. Because it means the distance was never your fault. It was never proof that you weren't enough. Ray, it was proof of how deeply you reached them. There is a part of this person they have never fully confronted. A shadow self, hidden beneath the version of them you have seen, that holds everything they fear most. Past betrayals, moments of abandonment, times when they opened their heart and were met with pain instead of safety. These experiences did not disappear. They became part of the architecture of their unconscious mind, and they have been quietly running the show ever since. Carl Jung understood that we do not simply forget our wounds, we bury them, we build defenses around them, and when something comes along that threatens to reach those buried places, we do not always respond with openness. We respond with, we push away the very thing we desire most. Because receiving it would mean dismantling walls we have spent a lifetime constructing. This is what has been happening with this person. You represent something they deeply want but are terrified to trust. Real intimacy, emotional honesty, the kind of love that asks them to be fully seen. And for someone who has been hurt before, who learned long ago that vulnerability leads to pain, this kind of connection does not feel like a gift. It feels like a threat, so they have hesitated, they have given you mixed signals. They have stood at the edge of something real and pulled back at the last moment. Not because they don't want you, but because wanting you means facing the parts of themselves they have been avoiding for years. You have become a mirror for their unhealed wounds, and mirrors are not always comfortable to look into. But here is what you must understand. This resistance is not a rejection of you. It is a defense against their own depth, against their own fear, against the very love they are not sure they deserve. Okay, you did not do anything wrong by making them feel this much. You simply showed them something they were not yet ready to see, and that is not your burden to carry. It is their invitation to heal. Now it is time to turn inward, back to you, back to what you have known all along, even when you tried to convince yourself otherwise. Yang, there has been a quiet voice within you, a feeling that refused to leave no matter how many times logic told you to walk away. Something inside of you has been holding on, not out of desperation, but out of recognition. A deep, wordless knowing that this connection was real, that it meant something, that it was not finished. You may have called yourself foolish for listening to it. You may have questioned your own sanity. You may have looked at the silence, the distance, the lack of proof, and told yourself you were imagining things, that you were holding on to something that only existed in your mind. But you were not imagining it. What you felt was not fantasy, it was spiritual communication, soul-level awareness, the kind of knowing that does not come from evidence or words, but from a place far deeper than the mind can reach. Your intuition was speaking to you, and it was telling you the truth. Correct. Not everyone receives this kind of inner clarity. Not everyone is able to feel the unseen threads that bind two people together across silence and distance. But you felt it. You held on to it, even when it made no sense. That was not weakness. That was wisdom, and this message is your confirmation. You were right to trust yourself. Something is changing. You may not have seen the evidence yet. There may be no message waiting in your inbox, no sudden declaration of love, no outward sign that anything is different. But beneath the surface, where truth lives before it becomes visible, something has already begun to shift. This person has been carrying you with them, in quiet moments, in the space between sleep and waking, in the middle of ordinary days, when your presence crosses their mind uninvited. They have been thinking about you more than you realize, and lately, those thoughts have started to feel different. Heavier, more urgent, harder to ignore. A slow awakening is taking place within them. The walls they built are no longer holding the way they once did. The defenses that kept you at a distance are beginning to crack, not because of anything you said or did, but because the soul can only resist its truth for so long, and their soul has been quietly pulling them back toward you. There may be regret stirring in them now, a growing awareness that they let fear lead for too long, a clarity they were not capable of reaching before. They are not the same person they were when the silence began. Something in them is softening, opening, preparing. Divine timing does not operate on human schedules. It does not rush. It does not explain itself. But it is never late. And what you are feeling right now, this strange sense that something is approaching, is not wishful thinking. It is alignment. The shift has already begun. What is coming has not yet taken form, but it is moving toward you nonetheless. And the moment of resolution you have been waiting for is closer than it has ever been. You have thought about walking away, perhaps more than once, perhaps every day. The exhaustion has built to a point where letting go feels like the only path to peace. And no one could blame you for feeling that way. You have waited, you have wondered, you have held space for something that has not yet fully shown up for you. That kind of emotional labor is not small. It is not easy, and you have every right to feel tired. But here is what you must understand before you make that choice. The moment you are standing in this precise moment of wanting to give up is often the moment that arrives right before everything changes. Not because the universe is cruel, but because transformation asks everything of us before it reveals itself. It waits until we reach the edge, until we have almost convinced ourselves to turn around. What feels like the end is not the end, it is the threshold. If you walk away now, you may be stepping back right before the clarity you have been longing for finally arrives. Not because you failed, but because you could not see how close you truly were. Holding on is not the same as being desperate. Staying open is not the same as being foolish. There is a difference between clinging out of fear and remaining aligned because something within you still knows this connection matters. You are not holding on because you are weak. You are holding on because your intuition has been asking you to. Because your soul recognizes something your mind cannot yet prove. Honor that. Just a little longer. But staying does not mean shrinking. Holding space for this connection does not mean abandoning yourself in the process. And this is where something important must shift, not in them, but in you. For too long, you have given your energy away. You have waited by the phone. You have measured your peace by their presence or absence. You have placed your worth in the hands of someone who has not yet proven they can hold it. And while your heart was in the right place, this pattern has slowly drained you. It is time to take your power back, not by leaving, not by forcing, but by returning to yourself with the same devotion you have been offering to them. You are not here to chase. You are not here to convince anyone of your value. You are not here to sit in stillness while your life pauses for someone else's healing. Your stillness is not passive. It is sacred. It is the grounded, rooted energy of someone who knows their worth and no longer needs external proof to feel it. This connection does not rest on their shoulders. It rests on yours. You are the anchor. You are the steady center. And the more you stand firmly in your own truth, the more magnetic that truth becomes. Let them feel your absence when you stop pouring into emptiness. Let them sense the shift when you begin to pour into yourself instead. This is not about punishment. It is not about games. It is about alignment. It is about remembering that you are not waiting for them to complete you. You are already whole. But staying does not mean shrinking. Holding space for this connection does not mean abandoning yourself in the process. And this is where something important must shift, not in them, but in you. For too long, you have given your energy away. You have waited by the phone. You have measured your peace by their presence or absence. You have placed your worth in the hands of someone who has not yet proven they can hold it. And while your heart was in the right place, this pattern has slowly drained you. It is time to take your power back. Not by leaving, not by forcing, but by returning to yourself with the same devotion you have been offering to them. You are not here to chase. You are not here to convince anyone of your value. You are not here to sit in stillness while your life pauses for someone else's healing. Your stillness is not passive. It is sacred. It is the grounded, rooted energy of someone who knows their worth and no longer needs external proof to feel it. This connection does not rest on their shoulders. It rests on yours. You are the anchor. You are the steady center. And the more you stand firmly in your own truth, the more magnetic that truth becomes. Let them feel your absence when you stop pouring into emptiness. Let them sense the shift when you begin to pour into yourself instead. This is not about punishment. It is not about games. It is about alignment. It is about remembering that you are not waiting for them to complete you. You are already whole. You are not alone in this. You are seen. You are held. You are protected by something far greater than this moment of uncertainty. Clarity is coming. What is meant for you will not pass you by. Trust the path. Trust yourself. And do not give up. Dialian.